I'm gonna love you.
Yo, what's going on, guys? Man, this is JT's Word. We're back with another video. And in today's video, we're looking at the top 10 animals that save people's lives. Before we get to the video, guys, make sure to smash the like button and also make sure to subscribe, man. And share it, because sharing is caring. Hashtag 2020. We love the carry acts. So let's hop right into this thing.
We often talk about humans saving animals. Sure, we also put ourselves out there as the ones who save the day, as nature's biggest helpers, blah blah blah, always ready to take all the credit. But how often have we celebrated the times when an animal puts itself at risk for the sake of a human being?
Got you, bro.
We probably don't do it as often as we should, because people don't seem to pay too much attention to that. But just because we don't talk about it, it doesn't mean there haven't been any heroic acts by animals. Today I want to present to you a list of 10 animals that save people's lives. These acts of heroism will likely put a smile on your face, or maybe even make you cry a tear or two. One thing is for sure, the lives of 10 people were saved thanks to the actions of 10 animals. You aren't gonna believe what animal number 1 did for a human, and you're gonna want to have this one by your side if you ever have an emergency. Number 10. Dory the Rabbit. Heroes come in all sizes, and here's a rabbit that can prove it to you. When Simon Seagal became unconscious while watching TV, his wife Victoria thought he had simply fallen asleep. However, Dory the house rabbit knew something wasn't right and started jumping on Mr. Seagal's chest until his wife came over to notice that something was wrong and immediately called an ambulance. Dory knew that she was not allowed on furniture, and Victoria kept telling her to get off Mr. Seagal's chest, but her constant tapping made Mrs. Seagal become aware of the problem and do something right away. An interesting fact is that Mrs. Seagal was working for an ambulance service back then, and the house rabbit noticed the problem before she did. She was obviously ashamed, but thankful to have...
No, she was obviously fucking another nigga. Okay, I didn't have to say it like that. Obviously, she was being promiscuous and having an affair.
Such a helpful and stubborn rabbit in the house. Personally, I hope they allowed her back up on the furniture after this. There's also a message here. Never underestimate the potential of the pets you have at home. You never know when they'll come to rescue your life. Number 9. Lulu the Vietnamese pig.
She was just pestering me and kissing me and crying, and I'm laying on the floor.
Lulu's act of heroism happened at a time when social media and memes were not a thing. Shocking, I know, right? Otherwise, she would have been more famous than when she was back in 1998, when she saved the life of her owner. It all started when Lulu's owner, Joanne, had a heart attack and her husband was on a fishing trip. Besides Lulu, there was a dog named Bear, an American Eskimo, that started barking hopelessly trying to get someone's attention. When Lulu realized that Bear's efforts were pointless, she decided to get out of the yard where she was kept, and she got hurt in the process. However, she finally made it to the middle of a main road where she started playing dead. Some people thought she was just a cute, playful pig, but someone finally noticed that Lulu was trying to give a warning. The person followed Lulu all the way to her house, and that's how they were able to get help for Joanne. That is one brave, determined pig. Number 8. Jambo the gorilla.
So the decision was not made lightly. Lowland gorillas are very endangered animals. There aren't very many in captivity.
When we think of gorillas in zoos, most of us probably think of Harambe and the...
Harambe! We love you, Harambe.
controversial end of his life, but let's not bring up 2016 here. However, there is another gorilla out there that came face to face with a child. His name is Jambo, and he became a hero back in 1986 when a 5-year-old boy fell inside his enclosure.
Do you know what a gorilla will do to you? Man, gorillas are strong. That gorilla will knock you clean out.
The boy was unconscious, which would make anyone think he was an easy prey for the gorillas. However, Jambo immediately came to caress the boy and stood by in order to protect him from other gorillas. Back then, people didn't have cell phones like today, but a lot of people recorded the event with photographs and home videos. This helped others learn about the protective and caring nature of gorillas. Some people out there should go watch these videos and learn about how helpful gorillas can be if you don't stress them out. Basically, there's no need to shoot them, there's definitely no need for kids to be climbing down their enclosures, there's no reason for Mike Tyson to want to fight one. Leave the gorillas alone, for God's sakes. Number 7. William the Chatty Parrot.
He says mama, but he has not said baby since the incident. He won't say it. He refuses.
William, or Willie as his family would call him, was a very chatty parrot, as his title suggests. But Willie used this attribute to save the life of Hannah, a 2-year-old who was choking so badly to the point that her face started to turn blue. Megan, who was Hannah's babysitter, was taking a bathroom break when the incident happened. That's when Willie started flapping his wings aggressively and screamed the words, "Mommy baby." Megan got out to see what Willie was talking about and noticed that Hannah was choking on a Pop-Tart. She then proceeded to apply the Heimlich maneuver and save the toddler's life. The story would be different if Willie hadn't been there.
Willie.
Number 6. The 3 Guardian Lions.
At no point in life would I feel safe around these 3 lions. I just feel like they look at me like beef jerky, and they're like, "Oh, let me get a piece."
Next on our list is a fascinating story that sounds like something straight out of a movie. The story takes place in Africa, and the victim is a 12-year-old girl, and our heroes are a group of 3 lions that came to her rescue. It all started when the girl was kidnapped and taken into a very remote part of the Ethiopian savannah. The men responsible for the abduction wanted to force the woman into getting married and held her for a week, while constantly beating her up. Sources claim that the girl was saved by the lions as they heard her crying. The men left thinking she was dead, however the lions stood by the girl, waiting for any kind of human help to arrive. As soon as they realized that the girl was in safe hands, the lions went back to their regular lifestyle, just like heroes after saving the day. Or heroes not looking at explosions. Number 5. The Elephant Lifeguard.
Ning Nong and Yum Yum were the elephants' names, especially Ning Nong though.
Excuse me? You said the N-word? I felt like you did. Better not lie to me.
While there have been a lot of natural disasters over the last couple of years, nothing comes close to the tragedy of the 2004 tsunami in the Indian Ocean. It affected many countries in the region, and hundreds of thousands of lives were lost in just a short amount of time. The videos themselves are very difficult to watch. But in the midst of all the chaos, there are some stories of hope. One of them is the story of a 4-year-old elephant that saved the life of an 8-year-old girl in Phuket, Thailand. Our hero is Ningong the elephant. When our little hero noticed that Amber was unprotected, he immediately took Amber on its back and looked for a safe place in higher ground. Once the waves crashed, the elephant turned into a protective wall that kept the girl from getting hurt. Samantha, Amber's mom, admitted that the end of the story would have been different if Amber had stayed with them on the beach. The young girl was not strong enough to take on the impact of the water. At some point after the impact, Samantha started asking people about Ning Nong, and they told her that the elephant had died.
Y'all told her to die? Why couldn't y'all just hold another elephant and be like, "Oh, here's Ning Nong right here"? This little girl is traumatized because actually, this elephant died to save her. That was just selfish.
She was relieved when she saw her little daughter riding on the back of the elephant. Today we can celebrate Ning Nong as a tsunami hero. Number 4. Mia the beluga whale. My next pick takes place underwater during an apnea competition. In case you don't know it, an apnea competition is pretty much an event in which participants try to prove who can stay underwater for the longest amount of time. You've probably done that when you go to the pool with your friends. This time, however, the competition was taking place inside a beluga whale pond in China. While the setting itself does sound a little dangerous and thrilling, it was actually quite convenient for Yan Yung, a participant whose legs stopped responding after being underwater for too long. Without any warning, Mia, a beluga whale, grabbed Yan Yung by her leg and took her to the surface, just so she could breathe again and recover control of her body. And just like that, within a matter of seconds, Mia became a hero by being at the right place at the right time. Wonder what would have happened to Yan Yung if she had done this in the regular pool with no beluga whales around. Actually, maybe that's not a good thing to think about. Number 3. The protective whale.
I'm very strict about don't touch the animals that you study. Don't get in the way.
And here's another story that takes place underwater with another whale. This time, the story begins with a human being threatened by the animal that ended up saving her life. A humpback whale.
Humpback whale. Humpback whale.
Nan Hauser, a renowned marine biologist, had been exploring whales for quite some time. But during a trip to the Cook Islands back in 2017, Hauser witnessed something she hadn't seen before. She came face to face with a humpback whale that started softly pushing her forward with a closed mouth. Keep in mind that humpback whales can be about 60 feet long and weigh a lot, so they're not a small animal. So being pushed by a whale this big is not necessarily fun. However, when Nan Hauser came out of the water, she noticed the fin of a tiger shark swimming right behind the whale. What Hauser considered to be the end of her life ended up being a whale just trying to protect her from an actual predator. Now it's time for the day's best pick. A very inspiring picture that perfectly represents what I'm showing you today, a human and an animal working together. In a time of need and despair, unexpected animals can become our allies and work by our side to overcome any challenge that we face. However, are we doing the same thing for them? Perhaps it's time to think of ways to help the animals around us. Number 2. The Bear and the Mountain Lion.
Man, this reminds me of a funny story, man. I used to watch this show. I forgot what show it's called. It's like a game show. And it had, man, I forgot his name. It wasn't Kurt Franklin. It was like a person. Oh, I forgot who it was. But they asked him, like, the person who was giving the clue was like, yo, we need an animal that's like a 4-letter word, and like an animal's a 4-letter word. He was like, dog. He said, no, 4 letters. Cat. No, 4 letters. Mountain lion. It was one of those you had to be there type of stories, but it was just so funny because they brought up mountain lion, so like I had to talk about it.
Something jumped on my back, and I thought it was a friend of mine doing a joke on me.
The next inspiring story begins during a mountain hike in California with a man named Robert Biggs. Robert had been on so many hikes, but nothing had prepared the 69-year-old hiker for this intense experience. He couldn't help but stop and watch when he came close to a mother bear and her cub. It was a cute moment he didn't want to miss, but it all changed when all of a sudden a mountain lion came from behind and attacked him while pushing him to the ground. Although Robert's backpack kept the lion from reaching his face, there was nothing else he could do to escape. His life was pretty much going to end right there. That's when the mother bear came to the scene and chased the lion away, saving Robert and giving him a memory that he now gets to keep for a lifetime. None of his minor injuries compared to the satisfaction of being saved by a mother bear, that is for sure.
I saved the best for last, but first, I have a quick challenge that takes only 5 seconds to complete. If you can leave a like and subscribe within the next 5 seconds, you'll get 10 years of amazing luck. Just try it, it really works.
Number 1. The Bodyguard Dog. It would be impossible to make this list without including a dog in it. After all, dogs are considered humans' best friends, heroes that are eager to put your life before theirs. At the top of this list, we have Lefty, a pit bull that acted as a personal bodyguard when 4 burglars broke into her house in Virginia in July of 2013. One of the intruders shot a bullet at Lefty's dad, but she immediately got...
This how we portraying black people still. This how we portraying black people. Go to the ground, cuz. Got my gun cocked to the side, cuz.
got in the way and took the bullet herself, hurting her right front shoulder. When Lefty made it to the hospital, the family was told she needed to have her arm amputated. However, since the family had just been robbed, they didn't have the means to help their little hero with the surgery. That's when the online community got involved by passing the story around through social media and raised the necessary funds to do Lefty's surgery. Lefty thankfully ended up surviving, and through her story, we learned that an animal's love, compassion, and sacrifice can never be predicted. You never know when you'll be in an emergency, and your hero will unexpectedly be a kind and loving animal. I hope you're being kind to them all, even the small ones. What do your pets at home look like? Have you ever been in a position where an animal came to your rescue? Doesn't matter how big or small, I want to know about other animals that save people's lives, and share with us in the comments.
Man, guys, thanks for watching this video, man. It was really touching to see the top 10 animals to save people's lives. But until next time, peace.